Happy Wednesday. We are with our good friend Lucy on this Wednesday morning making a classic.
Yes, red beans and rice with sausage. It is a classic. My mom made this all the time growing up, and she made it a little bit different. I've never made it this way that we're going to do today. I was just trying something new, and it turned out well. We're going to use our Instapot today, which you and I were just talking about. Chelsea said she has one, but
it terrifies me sometimes. I just never, it has a mind of its own, and I'm not the best user of it either.
But I completely agree. It did kind of scare me at first. My mother-in-law gave me one years ago, which I was thrilled about, and it took me a while to even give it a shot.
Sure.
Because I was like you, I was nervous, but once I did, I really love it.
Right.
I mean, it is so true. So I have it on the saute function. I just put a little bit of olive oil down in there. We can already hear it start sizzling. And then I just put in, it was almost a pound. I'm using andouille sausage today because I just wanted to use something a little bit different. You could use whatever smoked sausage you like. I got this one down at our news store. My brother-in-law is the VP of our meat operations, so whenever I'm not familiar with a product, because he's over that department, so I was like, this is country pleasing andouille, and he said it's so good. so I got that, and it really is good. And so we're just going to saute this for a few minutes down in our pot, and after we get a little bit of color on it, I'm going to pull it out and let it drain a little bit, and then we're going to be adding our vegetables next. So we got green bell pepper, a couple ribs of celery, and a half of an onion, and then I have a few cloves of garlic that I just chopped up. So once we pull that sausage out, then we'll saute these veggies in that sausage fat.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
Easy peasy. Now, before we go to break real quick, I do want to mention holidays will be here before you know it.
Yes.
So if you have family and friends coming over to eat at your house for Thanksgiving and Christmas, you don't want to cook, Greer's has a solution for you.
Absolutely. We have all of our stores that have delis. We offer holiday dinners, and a lot of people do get-togethers at work or church or somewhere, and so we'll be more than happy to, you can place an order with us for turkey or ham or fried chicken. Of course, we have that all year round, and all the sides, and so if you don't feel like cooking, then we can certainly do that for you. So I'll never forget this really, really kind note that I received from this lady over in Pensacola, and this was several years ago, and she was watching the show. And I was talking about the holiday dinners, and then she wrote me the nicest letter because she ordered one from our store over there on Barrancas, and she was just really appreciative because she wasn't going to be able to cook that year, and this, that, and the other, and so I was so glad that it helped her, and it was so nice of her to write me. So I always think of that for the holiday dinners. So if anybody's out there watching that wants those classic flavors but just aren't able to get into the kitchen for whatever reason, we'll be happy to help.
All right, and we'll have more information on that. We will continue with this red beans and rice recipe right here on Studio 10. And we're back with Lucy in the kitchen working on this red beans and rice recipe. Now, you were telling me you can make it really simple, but today you're adding a lot of flavors.
I am. Usually I make it a different way that's, just a couple, canned beans and just some seasonings, but I just wanted to do something different today. So we're using our Instapot today, and so I just sauteed some andouille sausage. I pulled that out, and I still have this on the saute function. So now I'm going to add green bell pepper, a couple ribs of celery, half of an onion, and a few cloves of garlic. And you can hear it's sizzling in there. So I just want to use my spoon and get up a lot of those brown bits that are on the bottom of the pot, which is all the flavor down there cooked from our sausage. And as these vegetables soften up and release a lot of their water, it's going to help those brown bits come off the bottom. And at this point, I'm also going to add some dried herbs. So I want to put them in here so the heat can hit them and they can kind of wake up. So I have a little bit of dried sage and some dried basil and dried thyme and dried oregano. And I have a little bit of Creole seasoning and then just a little bit of salt too. So, and all those measurements I know are on the screen and in the recipe. So I'm gonna add this in here and we're just gonna let these go for a few minutes and again, let this soften up. And if you wanted to do this recipe the same way but make it a little bit shorter on the cook time, you could use canned beans. Excuse me. But today we are going to use just a pound of the dried kidney beans. And of course, you know, anybody that ever works with dried beans knows they take hours and hours and hours to cook. So that's why I wanted to use the Instapot today, because this is going to be done. We're talking a lot about like the functions and the timing of an Instapot, and I do not claim to be a pro on all of that. I use the help of Google to find out, and of course it comes with a book, but to find out exactly how long certain things take to cook. So, for instance, I knew that I was going to be making this, and the thing that, you know, I really wasn't sure about was how long the dried beans would take to cook. So I just Google it, and then, you know, you can find out, you know, that hard ingredient, how long it will take. Right. And then you just make it your own. So that's what I did here. So once we get everything in there, and we'll keep moving on it, we're going to manually set it for 40 minutes. And then you and I were talking about some things. It wants you to go ahead and release that steam on the lid. But this one, once it cooks for 40 minutes, and then it's just gonna stay in there and let that pressure go down on its own for about another 20 minutes or so. Right. So basically our dried beans are gonna cook in an hour versus, you know, hours and hours and hours. So, but again, you could do the same thing, still use your Instapot and do canned beans, and it would take, you know, like 20 minutes.
Which is super nice. So either way you want to go, it's going to turn out delicious. We will continue this recipe with Lucy coming up on Studio 10. It's sizzling in here. We've got some veggies in the Instapot. We already made some sausage, and continuing on with this red beans and rice recipe.
We are. We pulled out that andouille after we just cooked it in here for a few minutes just to get a little bit of color on it, and then we added into the same pot our green bell pepper and celery and onion and garlic, and we also added in all of our dried herbs and seasonings. Now it is time to put everything in here and let it cook. So I just added 4 cups of vegetable broth, and I'm going to add 1 can of tomato sauce. And today we talked a lot in the last segment about dried beans or canned beans. Either are completely fine. If you don't have the time, then you can use the canned beans. These are just going to take a little bit longer to cook. So either way is completely fine. And I'm going to add these in there.
But even with the Instant Pot you were just saying, if you're just now joining, this only takes, what, an hour and a couple minutes?
Yep, exactly. So it's really, and it's good because you can, you know, just kind of get it on, and then like you're doing homework with the kids, or, you know, when you want to go and take a walk or something like that after work, it's easily doable after work, which is nice. Now I'm going to add back in the sausage. And then the last thing that you were talking about earlier is our ham hock. So a lot of people use, you know, smoked ham hocks for when they're cooking greens, or they're cooking vegetables, or you know, soups or stews, like a bean soup or something like that. And so today I wanted to use it in our red beans. And once this cooks, I was telling Chelsea, it'll soften up, and there'll be, you know, of course, a lot of fat on here. It's a bone, and then you know, it's a piece of smoked ham. So, but then there'll be some really yummy meat on here. So once it cooks and it softens up, there will be some meat that you can get off of that ham hock. But it's going to add a nice just really hearty, deep, rich flavor to our red beans. So now that we have everything in there, we are going to put the lid on, and we are going to make sure that this is in the sealed, this is the vent. This is where you release the pressure of the pressure cooker. And this is what this is. I mean, everyone I'm sure is familiar, but this is a pressure cooker. So we just have it on the sealed, and so I'm going to close it, and then I'm going to manually set it for 40 minutes, and then after it goes off, we are going to continue to let it sit in here for 20 minutes, and then it'll be ready to eat.
I'm so excited because I've learned so much about the pressure cooker. It even sings for you when you put the lid on correctly.
It says ready to go.
And so it truly is easy. It may be a little bit intimidating at first, but just give yourself some time and give it some patience, and you'll get it for sure. Yeah. Red beans and rice, Lucy, such a good recipe. If folks want to contact you guys about the holidays coming up, you guys can offer some stuff too.
Absolutely. So you can find us on social media, and our website has all of our locations and all of our contact information on there. So we'll be happy to take any special orders, or just happy to see if you come in and shop for the upcoming holidays.
Awesome. Good stuff there. You can find more information on their website and on our website as well. Lucy will be back with us next Wednesday.